It's trash and treasure hunting time again. This time it's the winter curbside collection, and this becomes a mega rubbish study. Because of the massive and highly destructive hailstorm from last summer, there's a lot of busted up stuff to examine. But remember, Great Uncle Womble wants us to collect the trash that's actually treasure. He's a wise old Womble, and he's not interested in the Chinese-made rubbish that only destroys your wallet and also your country's economy. In this mega rubbish episode, I examine one of the most famous rubbish piles in the area. It is an absolute mega pick. Curiously, I also find a record number of Dyson vacuum cleaners. And there's a mystery as to why so many of these have failed. I explain some roof tile technology that's smashing good fun. I verify some information I explained in the previous video by a trashed world globe that's highly educational. I showpiece some amazing spider-infested rubbish that will trigger arachnophobia and another complaint letter from the Australian Tourism Bureau to me. And of course, if I find some toy glory, we're going to take a closer look. But why are there so many amazing children's bikes being thrown out and there's nothing wrong with them? But most importantly, this award-winning video will entertain you and have you asking if this throwaway society that we're now all bonded to will actually become our demise. Okay, let's do it. We're going to start this video off by going back in time 6 months, back to the summer cleanup, to something that was on the side of the road outside this house, and I could have picked it up for free. Do you remember what it was? It was that beautiful old Crosley Refrigerator, possibly 1950s era, and it was in excellent condition. In fact, it was in working order. Now, I didn't see the value of this at the time, but when I went home and had a look online and saw how much they pull in price, I was astonished. You can either do these up and put a high price on them and wait for someone to bite, or you can present them in good original condition and they will still pull a good price. Well, all I can say is that I've learnt a lesson, a very expensive one. Let's hope I can find some more gold in this video. Okay, here is a nice quaint pile of rubbish, and really the thing I want to take a look at in this pile with my shadow drifting past is the vacuum cleaner there. It is Electrolux, and the funny thing when I think about Electrolux is back in the 70s, this was the brand to have. This vacuum cleaner, it says Electrolux Classic Silence. Shh, don't tell anyone. And it was a bagged vacuum cleaner, so it's a bit old tech in a sense. Yes, a bit curious to see where it's made. Cocky just flew past then. I'll just go underneath to take a look, eh? There's all the important info. Well, at least it's not made in China. One thing about vacuum cleaners is often I look for scuff marks to try to work out how much use it's got. To be honest here, this machine doesn't look like it's done that much work. That's just me doing a curbside appraisal of it. I also noticed basically everything's here, including, dun-dun, here we go. If you want to read up about that model there, it's there. And also the head of the vacuum cleaner is here, the hose and everything is beside me. And the trick was, back in the 70s, was if you had, you know, a substandard vacuum cleaner, you grab the heads from an Electrolux vacuum cleaner, but I don't know whether that still applies today. Here's some other parts of that vacuum cleaner. It looks pretty clean, doesn't it? And I'm just going to feel the hose. Okay, it's a bit squishy. If you want to feel a good hose, you feel a Miele. Feeling a bit cheap there. I am trying to glean a date of how old this Electrolux is. I looked at the warranty sheet here. It's not really shouting out at me, but maybe that's the way they want it to be. I'll put that back in the bag because I'm nice and tidy. Lovely flock of black cockatoos. Wow. I have completely lost count of the times I've seen little vacuum cleaners like this out in the rubbish piles, and you do wonder what people have purchased after something like this and exactly why it's out on the rubbish pile. Okay, another pile of rubbish, some clothing there. Seems to be a bit of a shoe theme going on. I don't know why. Stuff there, some sort of children's little, what would you call that, like some sort of weird soccer game. That's very strange. Why do we see an office chair on the rubbish piles? Don't know. To go on with the shoe theme, it's a bag full of shoes, a clothes hanger dry thing, and down here, yes, I can see signs of a hailstorm. On the top of this pile, it's a nice little children's thingy-bob like that, whether it's got spiders or not. It looks pretty clean, which is unusual. Down here I can see one of these activity tables that children love, and it's got all the hallmarks of the hailstorm that hit us, which was basically 6 months ago, because this is the winter cleanup. Okay, I'm not surprised about that. That gives you an idea of the intensity of the hailstorm. And just put that aside gently. I can also see a wonderful boat that would have been in the pool, which is the bottom thing here, but it's been smashed up. I can only assume it's the hailstorm has done that. And there is a wonderful fire engine here. It is missing its ladder. It does have all of its wheels. I can't see any Redback spiders on that one. It would only be a cheapy sort of toy, but there's really nothing much wrong with that. If you've got a child who just wants something to roll around on its wheels without a ladder, there's nothing wrong going on there. If we had the charity shop here, I've said this many times, that would be the sort of thing you would potentially find, but it's been gone for some time now. The clamshell pool, the base here, has got all the hallmarks of the hailstorm as well. These are actually a very, very common thing that you find out in the rubbish pile. They do get quite brittle, as you can see from the sun, but really what speaks to me in this pile of rubbish is the fact that it's been outside, it's been subjected to quite a savage hailstorm, and I'll put all this stuff back nice and gently and as it was before. Yes, this is something that I see a lot of in the suburb. There's lots of stuff which is basically roofs that have been replaced because of the hailstorm, and this is another one of those roofs all bundled up and all ready to be collected. And I can also see tubs of roofing screws here. Can you use these things twice? Do it like that? Yes, whole stacks of them. Oh, another pile of assorted rubbish, and I can see the signs of hailstorm. That's what the hail does. It would have been fairly brittle plastic. It would have been out in the sun. I can also see the same on that chair there. Hail whammo. Hail stops for nothing, and this is certainly a very hard hit area of the suburb. Whoa, look at that there. I'm excited. Okay, it's a Thomas right on. It is fairly sun affected, been out in the sun, a bit of a spider web thing there, so I have to be a little bit careful. I don't keep these if they're sort of as trashed as this. I wouldn't call this one to be in very good condition. I am curious about what's going on underneath. There's a spider there. Did you see it? Yes, it is spider-infested, although I think it was a good spider. There's all sorts of spider-rific action going on down amongst the wheels there. What I do like to see, it's had play. Okay, the wheels are all scuffed up. That's a great sign to see. I hate to see things without scuff marks on it and signs of wear. I can see 2005 Ghislaine Thomas there. I'm shooting this in 2019. I can't do the maths on how old this is. I think 2005 was a long, long time ago. The best way of saying it. I can't keep this, really, you know. I've got to be quite selective because I've got that many Thomases now. It has got a nice face, sort of a bit of a classic face going on there. Sadly, we've got to leave it. At least it hasn't got a hail strike through it. But I can see a lid for a tub here which has got plenty of signs of hail damage. And thinking of hail damage, there is a really, really good example of what hail does to whirlybirds that are up on roofs. Now, not often you see one of these down by the side of the road, and that's what big hail does to one of these. Just on the biggest impact there, to give you an idea of scale, look, I can put my whole fist into that. And to try and push one of these veins in, I've really got to put some effort in. So I'd hate to think what energy was coming down and causing that sort of damage. And if I spin this round, you can see that it is very well battered up. Okay, so man, it was a savage hailstorm. It did stacks of damage. And about whirlybirds, you've either a fan of these things, you think they're the best things since sliced bread, and I'll take a look underneath here. Oh, I never knew that. There was a spider on there as well. Or you think these are a total waste of time. Maybe you can tell me what you think of whirlybirds. I just feature that spider there. It's a good spider. It's a daddy longlegs. At least it's not a redback. The one thing I like here is it's all made of metal. I'm not seeing any plastic parts. And I have seen these things for sale in the shops, and so often they resort to plastic. Yes, everything on the rubbish piles has a story. What I don't like seeing in the suburb, I'm seeing more and more graffiti getting sprayed about. I don't like that at all. Okay, it's another pile of rubbish. The sun's about to set, so I'm losing some light. Stuff there that you really don't want to know about. Maybe you can see some gold and all that, but what I can see right here is what I'm interested in. There's like a little transformer toy here. You know your transformers make no sounds. Looks like a real transformer to me. Okay, looks very nice actually. And there is some of this Lego, I've just forgotten its name. Bionicle, is it? Oh, I'll get into trouble if I'm wrong. And another little Transformer toy there. And I think another, looks like a Happy Meal type Transformer toy. Maybe I might grab those. Yeah! Woo! You see just about everything on the rubbish piles. Looks like some sort of tent there, survival shelter thing. Giant witch's hat, lovely to see. But what caught my eye, nice and colourful, it's a large toy play set. It says Little People up here. And it's very colourful. Looks like you put your toys or balls down this thing. You probably put any sort of toy down this thing. Goes all the way down to the bottom. The fact the thing's quite large. And as I often say, because we lost our charity shop, sadly, that's the sort of toy that I often see out on the rubbish piles. A very small pile of rubbish, but crikeys, I can see a very, very nice item right there. This is a classic item and design in too many ways. Let me just get it up into the sun so we can see a little bit clearer. That's going to sort of help. I've got cars going through the sun here. Wonderful, wonderful Mixmaster Sunbeam. To get the beaters out, from memory you did something like this. Okay, and then your beaters could come out. Look at that there. Whooshka, whooshka. When I was a kid and Mum made a cake at home, you used to come along and lick the beaters. Oh, the memories come flooding back, and I tell you what, looks like that Mixmaster's done a bit of work. Those beaters look beaten. On the back of the cake mixer, it had a rotating knob here. You could read what you were going to basically beat up, and this one here is feeling a little bit frozen. The one we've got at home is nice and free, and as you dialed it up, basically got faster and faster. Goes right up to 8, 9 and 10, but sadly there's no 11. I like seeing the classic stuff, but I don't like seeing it out in the rubbish pile. Let's take a look underneath to see if there's a date, and I think it might have been made in Australia. Let's see if I'm correct. I'll have to pull it off as a freeze frame. Yes, Sunbeam Mixmaster, made in Australia and not made in China. Oh, how the world has changed for the worse. Also very interesting, look at the patent dates there. Yeah, that's going right back in time. I can also see AWA there, just over here near my thumb, and up the back here was this knob here. When you put different size bowls on this Mixmaster, you used to adjust that. I'm just getting so many flashbacks from when I was younger, and we had one of these in the home. Now, I can't remember exactly when my mum got one of these, but put it this way, I'm sort of thinking 1950s. Okay, it might have been 1960s. I think that design lasted for a long time. It is an absolute classic. I was a good boy. I put the beaters back up into the machine. I always thought there's a left and right to this. Maybe I'm right or wrong. I can't get that one up. Oh, yes, I can. Okay, yeah. So someone might see this on the side of the road, and it might be spare parts for someone who's looking after these, but I'll tell you what, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful machine. I could sum it up like this. It's a multi-generational appliance and something that basically lasts a lifetime. You just can't buy stuff like that anymore. Okay, in this rubbish collection video, I'm going to feature a pile of rubbish which is, well, basically famous this end of town. It's quite extensive, and if I just get the camera to turn around up here, it just goes on and on and on. Often there are people picking through this like vultures picking out a rotting carcass. Let's take a look at it. This is going to be tricky to pull off because this attracts a lot of people. People have picked through this. Look at that there, nice set of metal cabinets. The doors have been blown away in a lot of those. There is legitimate rubbish here, but for some people there is also treasure. It gets picked to death, like literally. This is very close to the time when the rubbish gets collected, and it is just an amazing assortment of, well, trash, treasure. It's from multiple houses, I believe. These houses are further on down behind where this rubbish pile is. I can see a few things that are catching my eye. Look at this, what's this sort of weird Fender Mustang thing? Look at that there, okay? So there's a bit of gold coming out of the pile already. I'm almost picking this stuff up. Now I know why people come here. All sorts of things. I mean, there is literally everything known to man. Looks like someone's almost set up a little pottery shop here. I can't believe this. Look at this here. All you need is a couple of price tickets on that and you'd be up and running in a nice little shop. That is just miraculous. Wonderful to see. If you're not impressed by that, well, you can go and dig through someone's personal filing cabinet here. All the documents are still there. I mean, that's ridiculous putting that out in the rubbish pile. And what's going on there? Just crazy to see that. Well, that was just the entree to this act. It actually keeps going on, and the second part of the story is up here. Okay, this has caught my eye. I know what these are. This is from the analog era of recording things. VHS tapes before DVDs. This is what we played with. It looks like it's recordings of TV shows, I hope, and nothing else. Yes, if you're a regular show fan, VHS tapes, you'd know all about them. Just about everywhere I look here, it is just a mashup of stuff. A frying pan there, it looks like part of a computer. That would be where the keyboard is, I think. And is that the screen? Yep. And some old book here. Let's take a look at the book, hey? Ah, Australian Home Gardener. What a beauty. It really is a sort of rubbish pile. You could spend hours upon hours going through this. Let me just walk up this. You may see things that you like. You may see things that you dislike. My crikey, it's just incredible to look at. It's almost like a piece of art laying on the side of the road. And it is so often, well, I drive past this, and every time I drive past, there's always people picking through this. There's probably maybe a few things in there which are good, but my crikeys, you'd have to dig for it. Oh crikeys, I can see an office chair in there. Fancy that. Lots of beds, real estate signs, plastic fantastic, which is no longer fantastic. Just basically everything in life you can imagine is encompassed in this rubbish pile. It's quite amazing. That's looking back up the road at it, and often when you come in close, you see a lot of the small stuff. The detailed stuff is where it gets interesting. All sorts of bits of hardware and nails and, oh crikey, it's just a bit of everything in there. Okay, oh crikey, but it's when I find gems like this, that's why I love coming and looking at the rubbish pile. I think it's something that you put along the bottom of a door to stop a draft. I think that's what that's for. I mean, honestly, that thing there is just too cute to throw out. Maybe I'll take this home with me. Well, maybe I won't, hey? You know, there's just something that caught my eye. It's just behind me. I think you're gonna like it. I'm certainly gonna like it. It's over this way, and it's up here. Oh yeah, Thomas Glory, man, Thomas Glory. Look at this here. It is a little Thomas and Friends bike, full on steam ahead, blah blah. Okay, wonderful. Oh man, part of me screaming to take this with me. Built for speed. Woo! It's quite a nice Thomas and Friendsy thing, and what I like about this, and this is what I look for, is I can see signs of use. You can see the brakes have been used here. It is worn on the wheels. If we take a look at the back tyre, that's good. They've been doing skiddies with the back tyre. So I like it when I see things that have been used. I hate seeing stuff which hasn't been used, and Thomas looks awesome there. I'm just feeling the brakes here. It needs adjustments. Everything's at its extreme limit. It's nice and clean, this. I also noticed it's got a flat tyre in the front, but a little bit of adjusting on this, a little bit of a clean off of the dust. The seat's in good condition. It wouldn't take very much at all to get this back up on the streets and basically built for speed. Part of me is thinking I'll just leave it here, a family will come along, see the value in this and pick it up, but the reality is most people will see that and they'll just leave it here because, well, basically we live in a totally throwaway society. Well, I'll leave the Thomas and Friends wonderment there. I didn't pick it up. Part of me was saying, yes, pick it up. I'll try and walk up here, along the path here, along the giant rubbish pile. Very hard to get video of this without people being seen picking through it. So I sort of tried to just utilize a bit of a quieter time of the day to get what we saw in this video. But part of me wants to dig into this pile. I'll tell you what, you just never know what you're going to find once you start lifting things up and moving things. Oh, I'm worried I'm going to find a dead body. Look, there's jars full of mysterious things there. Oh man, it just gets a bit scary sometimes, just a little bit too scary. Well, shoes have been a bit of a theme, haven't they? And also I'm noticing there's more crockery and pottery here, so maybe that's telling us something about who was around here at one time. These look like things you made up at school. That's what it looks like to me, but hey, I could be totally wrong. Just amazing, and if you've got a bit of an eye for what's good and what's bad, hopefully I can tell you what's good in life, and they're not office chairs. But what I see here, and there's a couple of them, this here is the old style clothes dryer. These are all metal. Often these were made in Australia, okay? And these are the ones you want to have. In fact, it'll almost be worthwhile unplugging this rubbish pile just to get these out, because these last forever. As for why they've been thrown out, I don't know, but I certainly know that when I see this type of construction here on a clothes dryer, that's the stuff that lasts. Okay, to prove my point on that, I've actually pulled one of those out of the rubbish pile. It was quite difficult to pull out. I've assembled it up here, and these go on forever. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a little bit grotty and grimy, and you can just take apart that, and they all fold down. There we go there, nice and compact. See that? You can't get these anymore, that's the saddest thing. All you get now is rubbish from China, and I'll sadly put that back on the rubbish pile. I don't know why I should be taking that one home with me. Yeah, so I'm old enough to know the good stuff from the bad stuff, what it used to be like before we were inundated with Chinese rubbish. In fact, there's quite a few things on here which is before that time. Wow, look at this here, that's a lovely picture of a cat there. Okay, must be a bit of a cat theme going on in this pile of rubbish, because I also notice up here, and it's quite unusual. Here we go here, is that a cat? It's like some bristly, brushy looking cat thing. I hope it's a cat. Very unusual, but a bit of a cat theme going on in this rubbish pile. I'm glad I stopped and got here while there was no people picking through the rubbish. It can get quite hectic here. People literally grabbing things out of each other's hands. And yeah, I've done something that I've always wanted to do, and that is take a look at the monster rubbish pile that is sort of famous in the part of town where I live, and we'll sort of finish off here. Back on the wondrous VHS tapes. Yeah, gotta love them, man, gotta love them. I told you it gets busy here, people picking through it all the time. Another beautiful rubbish pile, 2 wood chippers there, small ones, a couple of artworks. There might be a Monet trapped in that, but I very much doubt it. On the top there is top of a barbecue, one of those round sorts. One of those baby, fold up bassinet things. I've forgotten their name, but what's got my eye is, looks like a guitar down there. Just give me a moment, I'll need 2 hands to get this out of the case. Okay, there it is there. It looks like a guitar that Pete Townsend may have owned in his life. It's all smashed up. It's got nylon strings. I was trying to see where it's made. Sometimes you'll see down there, I'm hoping to see made in Japan, or made in USA would be nice. The fretboard looks like it's all been touched up, a little bit too glossy there. I'm looking for a maker up here. Even if it was like Maton Guitars, an Australian brand, I'd be happy, but I can't see things that I like to see on this. Maybe the guitar freaks to say, oh Leo, it's a classic, but you don't know what you're looking at. I don't think this is a classic. I just think this has had a very, very rough life. And if you look around here, yeah, Pete Townsend had a good smash of that one. I think it's just a no-name, very, very cheap guitar, but hey, Pixie Licks might say I'm wrong. Actually, Pixie's called Steve from Boston now because, well, YouTube got a little bit silly about the word Pixie Licks. I know, you want to look at the artworks, you're probably saying, Leo, there could be a classic on your hands, it could be a Claude Monet. What do you think, eh? Crikeys. I think I've struck lucky here, but I think it's been affected by the storm. A lot of things in people's houses got destroyed by water intake after the storm, and I think that's what's gone on here. These classics have sadly been wrecked. How destructive was that storm? Okay, here's an interesting duo. I've got a water pressure blaster here. It doesn't look too old, doesn't look too used, and a Piranha El Cheapo vacuum cleaner. On the vacuum cleaner, it's got that Flaco looking Dyson look to it. Of course, there's a giant clogging filter there, as per normal. I'll just have a quick look at the info underneath this one here. Bet you it's made in China. There's the info there, no surprise, made in China! Seeing these cheap generic vacuum cleaners is a constant I see on the rubbish pile. Let's take a look at this water blaster. It's a Homelight 100 bar. I'll tell you what, when I pick this thing up, it's as light as a feather. So I'm not holding much confidence with what this is about. Let's take a look at the tag. Well, there you go, read that one there. Of course it's made in China. Is that 2015 down the bottom? I'm making this video in 2019. Let's hope that's not 2015 as in a year when this was made. Anyway, it's always buy cheap, buy twice. That's why I make these videos. It wouldn't be rubbish time unless there were office chairs out in the rubbish pile. I try not to focus on these because there are so many of them. This one looks in pretty good nick. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't picked up. Okay, I've actually just sat in this. I've reset the piston down to its lower position. Let's just see if it'll trigger back upwards. Yeah, it's a goer. So hey, that one wouldn't be a bad one to pick up at all. My guess is that one will disappear in a couple of days. Here's something a little bit different. I don't often see in the rubbish piles. It's a solar panel. Very curious. Let's take a look at the back. Hopefully there's some sort of indication of what this is. We'll take a look at the info on the back, which is up there. I wouldn't know a good one from a bad one, but all I can see here is, no surprise at all, made in China! I actually noticed here, because I got spider eyes, a little spiderling thing just there, and if I give it a tickle, we might get it to run. It's most well, it's just taking the drop there. There it is there, it's very small. It might be a little baby huntsman spider, possibly. Tiny thing, rather cute. We better live and let live, hey? And I'll put that back down to the ground. Well, I'm up at the pointy end of the suburb. This area up here got really heavily affected by the hailstorm, and I'm noticing a little pile of rubbish hiding behind that trailer there, looking like a bit of a mixed bag of rubbish. But what I do like the look of, sneaking behind here, oh my crikeys, it's another Sunbeam Mixmaster, but is it as classic as the other one? I'll just grab this one. I'll tell you what, it's a lot lighter than the classic that I loved. And I also noticed there is some beaters here. And are they kneaders for dough? Okay, well, let's take a bit of a closer look at this unit here. I can see it's got a very similar design factor in the way you dial up the thing there. It looks like a jet engine too, very stylish. Yes. Looking at the front here, wow, it does look like a jet engine. I quite like the look of this. I'm wondering whether that's eject the beater thing there with a plastic bag playing havoc. Just get rid of that. And it looks like there was a way of locking down the bowl here as well. I'll tell you what, it's a bit of a style classic, but what era is this one? That's what I'm a bit curious about. Maybe underneath is going to tell me. There's a model number and whatnot, Sunbeam, blah, blah, blah. But what I don't like reading here is made in China, the Sunbeam specification, designed and engineered in Australia. Now, what's wrong with that is it should be made in Australia and engineered here, not made in China. I don't know what year this is from. Maybe that model number there is a clue there. I'm sure my audience will work it out for me. I'm just noticing here with the beaters, there's actually two different shafts here. Now, I've had a bit of a play. It's only this sort of shaft that seems to go up inside the machine, and I'll try and get these in. I think I almost need two hands. Maybe I can pull it off with one hand. Maybe there's a right or wrong way to do this. Maybe I've got it done there, or maybe I haven't. That's messy. Okay, I've got those kneaders on there. I hope they're kneaders. I can see my beautiful reflection in this. It is a very nice looking appliance. I do like the look of it. It's very jet age looking. But I can see they're trying to emulate the grandness of that older style machine, the classic one. But I know this just doesn't marry up to the awesomeness of that other wonderful mixer. The bowl, it's so many similarities, and this is not funny. This one here, it's for the small bowl setting. It even tells you, there you go, small bowl there to large bowl there. This Mixmaster is emulating many things that I saw in the classic one, but I don't like how light this is. I don't like for the fact that it's made in China, and I'm thinking the 90s era is when a lot of that was going on. I'll show you some more pictures of this. Maybe you can work out exactly when it was from. Okay, yes, but I just don't think this is a classic like I saw with that earlier one, which was Australian made. I know which one I prefer to have. That's the one made in Australia. I just noticed something on this one. Maybe it is better than that one from before, because look where the number goes on this. It dials up. We go number 10, 11 and 12. Yeah, number 12, pretty high powered. Well, I'm sort of thinking, will someone come along and pick this up? I don't think so. I think this will be here until pickup day. I might be wrong on that. Someone might see value in that I can't see. There's something up here. Just had a lovely chat to a lady. She pointed out to me someone who was having insurance problems and the way their roof was fixed up, and let me just briefly show you that. That's that house there. A bit of a story I was told about that house. You can see the tiles there. They've done this swap-a-rooney of tiles and everything, and what they do is they swap out the tiles and then put all the new tiles on one side, and it makes this very peculiar patch that looks nothing like the rest of the roof. That might be a nice cheap fix for the insurance company, but when it comes to selling your home, it's going to start to tell a story about what your house has been through. There's another house there with a very obvious patch repair. Crikeys, it doesn't look good, does it? It's been really weird to see different people get different end results from insurance companies. There's a nice new roof there. And if you know where to look in the suburb, there's plenty of indicators of the hailstorm still. And if I look down in that gutter area there, you can see the white splotchy marks that the hail revealed on the concrete there. Yes, it's all over the place. Just as a bit of a side note, something different to look at in this video, we've been having trouble with cockatoos in our kumquat tree. They will basically strip every kumquat from the tree over about a week, and they've got hundreds to go through. That's the way they work. Highly destructive, at least they're getting a nice feed. And there's a better look at what their little beaks do, very powerful beaks. Nice and juicy still. I think they go for the seeds. in these kumquats, but they certainly leave a lot behind once they've had a go. Just another huge mess to tidy up. These piles of rubbish do evolve, they change over a few days. We're not far away from the pickup point day. There's a lot of stuff here now, and there's something on this pile that I looked at before. You remember what it was? It was actually that solar panel that squeezed in down the bottom there. I thought maybe the solar panel there would have been picked up. Well, guess what? I'm wrong. But what I'm noticing here is one of those blow or vacs, and I actually see something a little bit horrific hanging out on top of it. Yes, Australia's the home to some horrifically big spiders. That's a huntsman's spider skin. They shed their skin in their growing phase. If it was a full spider, there'd be like a back end on this spider, and that's actually a baby one. If I put my finger in there, you can sort of see the scale of it. If that huntsman spider was a fully grown one, well, they sort of get up to the size of my hand there. And for some people, just seeing the spider skin is enough to give them an arachnophobic fright. They're quite a terrifying spider because of their size. But we're not talking about spiders, we're really talking about stuff that gets thrown out on the rubbish piles, and the blow or vacs. Crikey Charlies, they are a very, very common thing you see thrown out. It looks like some spiderific action going on around here. Let me just see if there's some sort of info on this one. I don't know if that's really telling me what I want to see. I look for a date, and often these things don't have a date, and that's for a very good reason. I dare say this is made in China. I think lots of these have been superseded by the ones that are basically battery powered. That's one that you plug into 240 volts. I also notice here, crikey Charlie's Australia's bad for spiders. A little spider there, I don't know if it's alive or dead. Oh, the thing's alive, the place is alive with spiders here. That spider's gone hiding down the back there, I dare say. Well, I'm assuming this is just basically a spider nest and all the rubbish that's been put out. Let me just spin this round, put it back to the way it was, because I don't like disturbing the piece too much. Maybe if I put the camera up the end of this blow or vac, blah blah, we might see if it is a spider nest or not. I've got the light on the little camera here. What can we see going on up there? What about right up there? If I focus on that impeller, what's going on up there? What does it tell you? Not really telling me that much. Okay, a bit of a dynamic duo, just like actually the previous rubbish video. We've got one of those Ozito whippersnippers, so that's telling us something about those. And also an Ozito vacuum blower thing. But the thing that caught my eye here is this tray, and I'm thinking this is silver. It's got a fair bit of weight to it. I mean, this might be the bit of gold that's on this rubbish pile that's worth taking. It's got me thinking, how do you check if something's silver or not? Maybe I've got to go and learn that. But to me, it's got all the look of silver. It gets that tarnished look when it's a bit older. I thought there might have been some sort of hallmark stamped on it or something. I can't see anything, and that's starting to worry me. I've got a coin here. I'm going to scratch this and just see what happens here. Yeah, what do you think? I don't know my metals that well to understand what this is. It's got me that spooked. I actually might just pick this up. I'm not far from home, and take it home, and I'll try and work out up there exactly what I'm dealing with. Another rubbish pile, lots of things from people repairing ceilings, because lots of people got damaged ceilings in the big storm, and there's something very curious right down there. I just moved this bag of miscellaneous junk to one side so I can see what I want to look at a little bit clearer. Wow, this is a Dyson, or parts of a Dyson. I think that's a fairly recent model because it's got the double stack of the cones that separate the dirt. Yes, two-tiered radial cyclones. And this is one of the most modern Dysons, or components of a Dyson, I've ever seen on the rubbish piles. It's got me quite curious. There's also a Dyson ball here. I can only assume this is also connected to the other part. These parts are together on the rubbish pile. It's been pulled apart, disassembled. I dare say that would be the electric motor in this device. Wow, it's got me really thinking what's going on here. Let's take a look at that there. Well, reading that there, it says DC47, but was the other component also from that same style of cleaner? Also noticing there, do you see what I see just there? And I'll zoom in on it. I believe that is spider egg sacs there. I'm pretty sure. If I give them a bit of a tickle, I'll tell you whether they're full or empty. These feel like they are empty. The spiderlings have got free. So that's a real mystery. A spider-infested Dyson, well, the core of one, which has been disassembled. I'll put that back on the rubbish pile. Plus this two-tiered cleaning section of the Dyson, which is basically the heart of the system, the thing that does all the funky Dyson stuff. Very, very curious thing to find in the rubbish pile. Oh, look at that, fit for a king, a nice dining table and 2 chairs. And there's a tub here and all the classic signs of what the hailstorm has done. Okay, I see that a lot on the rubbish piles. There's a busted up Karcher water cleaner here. It looks like the guts are missing, so someone's may have had a play to try to fix it. And you're probably thinking, where are those barbecues? Well, I haven't been focusing on them, but believe me, they have certainly been around. And that one certainly had some wear and tear. I've just done a bit of googly research when I was looking at a barbecue, and yes, this does belong to this one here. It is the component of the Dyson DC47. It would have looked something like that, but I tell you what, I'd love to know why it's out in the rubbish pile. I don't think that one's that old. It's very unusual to see. Maybe if I do a Sherlock Holmes and try to explain the Dyson's demise like this. We had the big hailstorm and the big rainstorm. The Dyson was used in the cleanup. After the storm, it sucked in some water, and that has been the Dyson's demise. I don't think they're too crash hot up against sucking up water. But I'm only just doing a theory there. Maybe there's another reason why, but I think it's a bit early for that Dyson of that era to be out in the rubbish pile. I'd love to know what's going on there. Well, here's something I see lots of in the suburb. It's because of the hailstorm, and this is a skip bin that's got, well, the old tiles from a house plus the new tiles from a house, because there are a lot of wastage tiles as well when they re-roof. And yes, every tile tells a story, and maybe we'll take a closer look at that one there. These are cement tiles. Cement tiles tend to be fairly heavy. They're also quite thick, and you can see the marks the hail's left on these tiles. These people are lucky they got a total re-roof. A lot of people struggle to get that, and I can also see the classic splat mark that the hail leaves on a tile. I can also see the tile style name, it's Centurion. And if I take a look at one of the new tiles, which is being used on the re-roof, maybe it'll say something. All I can see there is a company name, Boral. When I had my re-roof done at my place, the tile guys are fantastic, and they pointed out some advantages and disadvantages of certain tile styles. Cement tiles are nice because they're thick, they're nice and strong, but there's a bit of a weak link, which happens on each side of them. I've just lined up some tiles as if they're laid up onto a roof, and you can see the overlapping area there. And there's another one there, and I'm going to simulate a piece of hail, but via another piece of tile. If it comes down and impacts this area here, that's the weak link in the tile. I've done a bit of reassembly here, and what you often found was you found a crack that would be running up this section of the tile, and if you were really unlucky, and the part you need to really check was you had to lift this tile away and take a look at this area through here as well, because it also can crack very easily. And there's a great example of that a little bit up here of a tile which has been damaged, being put into the skip bin. There's a lower edge there which has got a nice crack through there. And once that lower edge fails, when you start to get water into your house, you know, some people will swear by concrete tiles, some people will swear by terracotta, some people swear by metal. But the one thing about these is they're quite strong. Oh, or maybe they're not. They're quite strong on the thick bit. There you go. Told you they were. Maybe these are very fresh out of the cement plant. The one thing about the concrete tile is they'll get stronger over time, and they say they last about 100 years. Maybe to prove my point, I've got one of the older tiles here. Okay, it's going to be stronger, I hope. I'll get my fake hail again. Here it comes on the strong bit. I think it was stronger. You guys probably don't believe a word I say, do you? I'm sorry. I'm not going to claim to be an expert about roof tiles, but I tell you what, I listened very carefully to the guys who re-roofed my house. I had 15 years experience of seeing all sorts of different roof styles, and boy oh boy, were they very giving in information. They were great guys. Sorry for that divergence away from the rubbish piles, but I hope we learned something there. YouTube is an educational environment. Okay, here's a nice little pile of rubbish here. A lot of toy sort of stuff and things that children would get into, and there's maybe one truck there I'll take a bit of a look at. Another thing about this, it's a nice scale. I like the look of this. It's like a Hummer type vehicle. Got to check for Redbacks, hey? Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Put it this way, I've seen a lot worse. Looking at it on the side there, what does H3T mean there? Is that a Hummer type vehicle? I'm not really into vehicles. It is a Tonka branded toy. And I think the problem here is, look, it's not bad. There's a bit of metal on the top here. There's some metal on the bonnet, the hood area, but really the rest of it's sadly plastic fantastic. And as we know, there's really not that much fantastic about too much plastic. And on the same pile of rubbish, I see something else which has caught my eye. That truck there, it's a Mighty Wheels truck. I'm not that sure who did Mighty Wheels. It's a little bit too small for me to read underneath there. I did look for spiders, but that's not bad. At least it's had a bit of play, you know, it's still got more play left in it, if you ask me, but I'm going to leave it here. Maybe a little child will see this and come along and love it. Ah, the wonderment of a barbecue which is being thrown out. This one here, it looks elaborate, doesn't it? This, well, wouldn't have been cheap? Or was it when they became sort of cheap and big? It's a Jackaroo brand there, Professional 6SX. From what I've seen going on, the scrap metal people will come in and grab things, especially if it's stainless steel. Is that real stainless or the fake stainless that we get these days? Okay, there's the whole grill plate area is missing, and I can see that the burners have had a fair bit of use, and I think this is the problem with these styles of barbecues, is that you'll find that the burners will burn out, no pun intended, and then it becomes a bit tricky to find replacement burners. I did snoop around in this trying to find some sort of compliance plate, a year date. I'd love to know what year this is. It might be quite a few years old. It's actually been looked after. That's one thing I'll say about this one. Yes, it would have been nice in its day. The compliance information may have been there. It looks like it's been burnt off by the heat. I remember a couple of videos back I really focused on the barbecues, and believe me, they're always persistently around on the rubbish piles. These microwave ovens, office chairs, I think they're the most commonly seen things that you see hanging out in the rubbish piles. Well, this piece of timber has caught my eye for a couple of reasons. Wow, it's really an arachnophobic nightmare. I can see, and I'll zoom in on some things here, there's a huntsman spider skin there. Okay, there's another little one here. Right, so let's count them up, that's 2 so far. There's one here, a small one, there's another one here. We've got up to 4. There's another one here, that makes 5. There's another one up here, that makes 6. So what with that 6 in that zone there, let's go across the other side here. Let's zoom in on that section right there. So this one here, that's number 7, I believe. Oh, just lost a leg, I think. Just try and pick it up again, get it up into the sun. Crikey, Charlies. This must have been a huntsman spider paradise. I've actually lost count, but to basically finish off, and I think it's the best find of all. You know what that thing is there? My crikeys, that's a beauty, that's massive. This is a fantastic find and it is very big. That's a huntsman spider's egg sac. It is empty. Wow, it's an amazing thing to touch. It's a little bit crispy. I can see where the spiderlings have come out on that side there, but look at the size of that thing. That is amazing. Just looking back on that huntsman spider skin, that is really from a small huntsman. If I put it up against the egg sac there, whatever huntsman spider laid up that egg sac, it would have been a monster. I'm sure of it. It would have been massive. I'm a bit curious to find Big Mama. I'm sure she's around. If I lift this up nice and carefully, will we find anything nasty? Crikey, Charlies. I could just see more spiderific stuff. But Big Mama isn't shouting out at me. Sometimes maybe it's best not to know, hey? Put that back down. With the sun setting on that spider-infested area, as I so often say, Australia is not for everyone. Sometimes I find things at night on the rubbish piles. It's not often I look at night because you can't see very much. There's a set of old shoes there. There's some lovely files here. Look at this, barely used. Literally brand spanking new. But the best bonus of all, do you know what that is there? Haha! Yes, it's a Dyson, and this is a beauty. It's a DC07, and I think this is the second one of these that I've got. Apart from the wondrous Dyson, there are other cleaners here. I don't want to know about the other cleaners. That looks like some generic sort of thing, a bit of a Dyson-y clone. And there is a red one here. It's got missing bits and bobs on it. I don't exactly know what that is. Maybe that will tell me more. All I want is a Dyson Gold. Beautiful thing. They got nice wheels on them, and I will just wheel this one home in the darkness. Hopefully no one will see me because I look like a womble. Lovely handle here. Off I go. Come with me, little Dyson. You're coming into my Dyson collection. Look at that. It wheels like a beauty. In fact, I think this is my 3rd DC07. Am I embarrassed wheeling this home? In no way. I'm very, very proud of my Dysons. Another nighttime find here. A bit spookier at night, isn't it? This is an air compressor here. I think that's, well, not much chop. Oh, we'll come back to this box here, but next to the box here, a set of car ramps. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these. These won't last long. These will be picked up for sure. That's a fantastic set there. And then we will come back to this. Oh man, this is Metal Toys. I don't think this is Tonka, but it's of an earlier style because it's a lot of metal in this. There's very little plastic, and I can see there's some Spider-infested action going on in there. I don't think that's Redback Spider egg sac. It's a little bit too fluffy. It could be another style of spider. But this toy here, I like it. It's quite rustic, but there's a lot of play left in this. It's quite a tough, well-built toy. I don't think it's Tonka, but whatever it is, it's from a bit of a bygone era. I'll just put that over there. Maybe someone will pick that up and grab it. But what's left inside the box here is going to be Spider-infested, especially the Tonka truck right there. I just do a bit of manipulation of the toys here very carefully. They're plastic things. I don't really want to know about that. There's a plastic one down there as well. But this is an articulated scooper duper. At the moment, I'm just going to be a bit careful I pick this up because something might come running at me. I want to take a look underneath this one. Okay, this is a good era of Tonka. There's not too much plastic in this, but I'll tell you what, it presents with a lot of Spider-infested nightmares. If you look really carefully, I believe that's a very, very juvenile Redback Spider, and I'll zoom in on it. I'm pretty sure that's a juvenile there. Very small. You need good spider eyes to see that. Also notice a crickety thing running for its life there. It's in a dangerous zone, I can tell you. Up here, around the front wheel area, I can see the classic traits of Redback Spiderweb. Absolute classic. There's the leaves here that get caught up in the web, which is the other classic trait. And if I turn that wheel round, I'm going to get bitten, aren't I? I'm sure of it. This is in the middle of winter, so hopefully the spiders are reclusing. And I just want to try and poke in up there somewhere. Part of me is inquisitive to see exactly what's going on up inside there. It actually goes up to like the driver's cab. Maybe we'll see something, maybe we won't. It's a very reclusive area. It's a sort of place where redbacks absolutely love to hang out. And maybe if I tip the truck this way, to get a bit more of a feel. It's sort of inverted there. Yes, I think up there would be Spider-infested home number 1. As I often say, if you've seen the web, the spider is going to be close by, and it is absolutely the perfect home they enjoy living in. This era would be your Tonka era, which is before it went too plasticky. These days, sadly, they're like super plastic fantastic. It's not the heavy metal version. The really good era was when it was all metal and the metal gauge was really thick and heavy. What you found was this lighter gauge metal tended to rust out really well, and you're buying these things over and over. Actually, I might see some more Spider-infested action up on the scooper duper there. I thought I saw a little redback around here. Maybe I was just imagining things, but I can certainly see their style of web. Really, it's a little box of horrors in all sorts of ways. I'll put this back as neat as I can. Even this plastic truck here is looking very Spider-infested. I don't want to know about that. But it would be nice if this one here, I like this truck, it's nice and metallic. There's still play left in it. You could tidy that up and it's, you know, it's got another generation of life in it. No problem at all. A little bit of paint, it'd be a goer. But really, the real find here is these car ramps. Look, I've got a set of car ramps, but I'm sure someone is going to pick these up and they'll be gone before the morning. I'm sure of it. My crikeys, you do find everything on the side of the road. Here is a globe of the earth. Now, there was a time when you had these in your home. To me, they were a very 70s thing. And before you had like things like Google Earth and whatnot, you had one of these and then you could see the relationship of size of different countries and say, well, I've been to here, 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 and here. Now, in a video recently, I spoke about the size of England. Let me find England in relationship to the state of New South Wales where I live. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to go in here. That's the United Kingdom there, okay? England is sort of the width of my finger there, just roughly. Okay, we're going to be quite rough here because I'm going to just illustrate the size of England versus, let's say, New South Wales down in Australia. Now, Australia is a long way from England. It's also on the other hemisphere of the globe. We've got to fly all the way down here, go down south, almost down, as far south as Paradise Falls. Here's Australia. This is where I live, but New South Wales is over in this section here, although we can't see the state divide here. I know how big New South Wales is, I'm just outlining it here. And I showed recently in a video, basically England overlaid within New South Wales, and people said, Leo, that can't be correct. You've got to be crazy. England's bigger than that. Well, let me get my finger in roughly the same spot. Look at that there. I'm in New South Wales there now. That's not that different to the picture that I showed in that other video that people got quite cranky about. Yeah, so many people seen that. It was a little bit of a shell shock. Australia's a very large country, but it's a bit peculiar in the way that people have settled in Australia. We're really only in a very small portion of the country, very unlike the USA. The United States is roughly the size of Australia, and I'll do that by laying my 3 fingers over like that. So imagine down there is the east coast of America. Okay, you see that? Just the length of my fingers across that. So just remember that size there, and let me fly down to Australia. Back down to Paradise Falls. Here's Australia here, and if I lay my 3 fingers over there, it's quite similar, isn't it? That's a surprise. This video is getting a little bit too educational. The other peculiar part about Australia is, if you've ever flown from, say, Sydney up to Singapore and done your flight up to here, it's about an 8-hour trip, but half of your trip is over basically nothing. When you look out of the plane and you're flying over this area here, there's absolutely nothing to see. It's just, well, just desert. It's actually quite scary. Australia's quite a kooky place. It's a long way from everywhere as well. That might play out as a good thing. There's not much around us. So yeah, surrounded by water. You need to learn how to swim if ever you live in Australia. Yeah, these globes are a fantastic way to talk about summer solstice, winter solstice, the equinox. You get a really good relationship of everything that is around the Earth. I think you get a much more tangible idea of things when you see it on the sphere. I hope that makes sense. There's actually a lot that I've spoken about that probably won't make the final edit, because the more I looked here, there were more stories that could easily be told. You know, especially size relationships and stuff. Maybe up the end of the video, I'll add that in, and maybe I won't. But there'll be bits that I'll pick off that I think are going to be quite interesting. And it's often things that I've spoken about on YouTube videos, and if I had one of these at home, maybe I should drag this home, then I can explain things a lot easier with one of these. Some more nighttime scavenging here, looking through rubbish piles. I think a lot of this stuff would be picked up because it's copper wiring in there. The copper wiring, there are people that come around and expertly pick this up, but the thing that I like to pick up, guess what it is? Dun, dun, dun! It's another Dyson. This is an early Dyson. It's a DC05. Absolute turbo brush, yeah! I think this is the second one of these that I've got. Look at that there, the most powerful vacuum cleaner with no loss of suction without sounding like an ad. And I dare say that this here is the turbo brush feature. It looks like it's had a fair bit of play, which is nice to see. This wouldn't be a young Dyson. This is an old one, and it's lovely coloured, okay? They always had nice looking gear, but then it came with a very nice price as well. It's all solid. Look, the hose is good quality as well, and that's what you're buying into. A lot of people don't understand the Dyson brand. I started to understand it once I started buying their gear. Okay, there's this other head here as well. Okay, yeah, it's another Dyson for my collection. Wonderful. Notice this section here, there's a handle that should go across there. That's broken away. Very, very nice indeed. I'm just showing you the dust collection area there. Dyson introduced the see-through dust collection area. Believe me on that. You got to believe me. Yes, that's the second DC05 that I've got. It's going to my wonderful Dyson collection. Ah yes, one of those outdoor storage compartments with the folding lid. You can also use them as seats. I think this is an Aldi one because it's a bit of a smaller size. And what I can see here is lots of hail damage. I'm not surprised at all. There's lots of stuff on the rubbish piles which has been hail damaged. Some nice big wackos here. I mean, look at that one there. Boof! It's gone through that second layer as well. Yeah, so there's probably a whole bunch of, yeah, guess what? There's a whole bunch of rubbish in there as well, and also some more hail damaged bits and bobs. It might be worth taking a look at this real estate picture here for a house that's for sale. And this picture is a great indication of the hailstorm and what it did to the suburb. This picture was taken just after the hailstorm. And I'll come in a bit closer and I'll show you a few things. See, this is the house that's for sale. It had broken solar panels. You can see the smashed ones there. It had quite a large solar array. It had a metal roof. It's all been fixed now. It was heavily dented. If you go along to the neighbour's house, you can see all the patching on the tiles there. Another roof affected there. A tarp on that house there. Another tarp. It became known as Tarpaulin Heights. And if I follow this road along, this is where I look at a lot of the rubbish on the side of the road. The Redback drain spider lives here at that roundabout. And the pizza shop is just on the other side here, where the Redbacks used to live. There's another major Redback spider infestation. I've focused on it a couple of times. It's where Jim Spider lives. I'll point out where Jim Spider is. Jim Spider is this building here, and the gym's along the front of the road here. That's Jim Spider area. Our suburb's famous for Redback spiders, but also a really, really bad hailstorm. It's a great aerial shot. It does show you the extent of the damage. Some of these homes have been fixed up by now. We're 6 months past the storm, but there are still many, many homes that are still covered in blue or silver tarps. And also the occasional green tarp as well. Let's not forget the green ones. Just thinking about Jim Spider, and I walk past this area every day. We're in the middle of winter, so you won't see any spiders. You can see where the nest is and a couple of egg sacs, and around here there was a great big, well, Redback spider living back in summertime, but because it's winter time, there's nothing there. Here's another nest here, and I'm pretty sure there won't be a Redback here. Will I be right? Will I be wrong, hey? I'll pull this apart. You can see the bugs and all that they've had. It's normally around about August, September, when you'll start to see the spiders come back. Okay, well, I've not seen any Redback running from this. They basically get into winter wonderland mode, go and recluse somewhere where it's nice and cozy. Now, I did find a spider here. It looks like one of those grey house spiders. Oh man, the Redback's going to be in trouble if these guys have got hold here. That house there had a roof repair, but a nice one. You can't see where they've repaired it, but the house just sort of beside it, a little bit behind, had one of those terrible patch jobs that looks very, very obvious. And yes, there's a stark reality of what a tarped house looks like. It's been like that for 6 months. Not nice to see. Every pile of rubbish has a story to tell. There's always something interesting to look on these rubbish piles, and there's plenty of things which aren't that interesting. But what's inside this tub here has caught my eye. There's a few things here actually. You reckon that's Thomas the Tank on that there? I reckon it is. It's the right colour. Whatever it is, there's a nice little piece of artwork there. Okay, we'll put that over there next to the hard hat. You can find anything on the rubbish pile. There's a little terracotta, I think it's like a piggy bank. Well, I'm saying it should be a teddy bank, shouldn't it? It's a little teddy bear. We'll put that over there as well, nice and gentle. Someone might pick that up. It'd be a nice little find for someone. There's also a tub here of assorted farm animals. I mean, where else in the world would you find anything like that apart from, well, a shop that sells assorted farm animals? Okay, that's lovely. Someone might pick that up, take them all home. But the thing that I think is a jewel in the crown here is this item here. Oh yeah, let's go back in time. Back before you had streaming video and back before you had DVDs, you had VHS players like this which played VHS tapes. They went in there, they had a wonderful mechanical sound to them when these things had tapes in them, the way they loaded the tapes. This one here is a Sony model. It wouldn't have been cheap in the day. It looks like it's got lots of features on there. Okay, yeah, it's a nice model. You can only assume why it has been thrown out. And unfortunately, VHS was an inferior format. Sony Betamax was a better format, but that's the story for another video. Sometimes you can tell if it's a good one by looking at the outputs, and it might be a bit of a step back into analog days. Yeah, I'm just looking there. I'm not seeing the high quality outputs that you might have found on a really, really good deck. This is definitely something I can relate to, and in a strange way, why I really like that animated show, The Regular Show, because it depicts stories from an era when VHS was king. Some homes that had a lot of hail damage, a lot of water coming into the house, got a product called Storm Seal. It's like an orange coating on the roof there. It's like plastic sheeting which is all stitched together, and it comes at a high price, but it does save your house from being totally wrecked by water. Well, it must have been a massive hailstone to do that sort of damage. That's totally unbelievable, isn't it? But what caught my eye here, and I saw a little Hot Wheels truck here, and it made me peek a bit further, and I'm glad I did because I found some toy gold. Look at this here. It's Lego, the real McCoy Lego, and it's very, very rare that I'll find Lego and parts and sets out on the rubbish pile because it's really got a good second-hand value. Wow, that's quite amazing. There's another bit there. Ah yes, that one is a keeper. I better feature this little Hot Wheels vehicle, or you'll be screaming, no, I didn't see it! It's like a little Monster Jam truck, but Monster Jam kicked away from Hot Wheels, and they've gone in their own way, and Hot Wheels have got their own, well, monster trucks, without saying the word Monster Jam, but that's like a normal Hot Wheels scale. little monster truck, if that makes any sense. Wow, I'm really striking up a theme on these. Another one of these backyard storage devices. It has been heavily affected by hail strikes again. A really nice big one here. Man, that hail was destructive. You can also see how powerful it was. It's blown through this area here, which would have been a strengthening member there. Wow. Wow. Oh, and this one hasn't got any gold. It's actually empty. And the components of what was smacked out are down there. But wow, these have been very, very common to see smacked out by hail strikes on the rubbish piles this time around. The winter weather's a bit cruel when you're looking at rubbish piles. It starts to get wet and it's very cold. There's an office chair there. Boo-hoo to you. I'm tired of seeing those. Really tired of it. But what I do like to see is a cement mixer here. Wow, this is a bit more of a modern one versus the one I saw a few rubbish piles back. It's a motorised one, so the motor would have been there. And this here would have been powered by the motor. And it's got a shaft on it here. The shaft would have come out here and there's a little cloggy thing there that then spins your cement mixer. I like these as a garden ornament. They can be made to look nice and rustic. Just see what condition this one's in. Okay. Thank goodness for iPhones and the little light that they've got. I can see in there nice and clearly. It actually looks in fairly good nick, considering it's an old cement mixer. I like that. It would look good as a bit of rustic heaven in the backyard. As for that thing there, nothing but trash. Quite an elaborate pile of rubbish here. Stacks and stacks of stuff. All sorts of things. Some electronics things here. And not often do I see laptops out in the rubbish pile. I see some power supplies here. This is an Acer laptop. I dare say it's something from a bit of a bygone era. Okay, maybe that tells you where we're at with this laptop. I also notice that there is a Toshiba here. This one, well, looks to be a bit of an older model in a sense. Okay, and to carry on with the electronics theme, I noticed this here. It's a Cocoon remote controlled, blah blah, and I noticed that box there. I think this is all connected, and inside the box there is that. So we've got a drone. Okay, it's got a little camera going on underneath there. I think this is just a generic thing, and also I noticed there was this here, and I think it's like the rest of that. Yeah, the rest of the thing to do with the drone is there. I remember that brand, they were doing the 3D printers through Aldi. I wonder whether this is connected to Aldi or not. One part of me saying is, you know, pick this up and have a play, but another part saying to me, well, this stuff is like as cheap as chips now. In a strange way, the thing that I see as valuable on that rubbish pile there is, you're going to probably laugh at me, probably these power supplies. They can come in handy. Quite an amazing pile of rubbish. It's a bit of everything. There's a garden store here. Everything you lift up's got a surprise inside. There's a sewing machine there. Man, it is just like someone's life out on the side of the road, and it just goes on and on and on and on, and hopefully other people come along and find purpose in what's been put out here. Okay, this is very different. Wow, two ride-on mowers out in the rubbish piles. One of them says it's a yard man. It looks a little bit, well, weather worn. Crikey Charlies. And this other one here, well, the neighbour's not shouting out at me yet. I can see on the steering wheel it's also a yard man. I wouldn't be surprised if these are picked up once the word's out that these are on the street. They've got a Briggs & Stratton motor in them. They're usually fairly good motors and easy to maintain, easy to get parts for. And this is the front one. I'm just going to take a look at the engine bay here. I think it lifts up like that. There's the motor there. Just taking a look at the motor details there. Maybe you can work something up from that. I can see made in the USA. Oh, crikeys, that's rare to see these days. So the motor's made in the USA. As for where the lawnmower is actually made, I'm not sure. But what I like about these, and I'll just step away from it, is they look like little tractors. They look like fun. Okay, but they do look fairly well used. And why I'm focusing on them is it's something that I rarely see in the rubbish piles in what is basically suburbia. Yeah, it's a very, very curious thing to find. For the curiosity factor and rarity, I'm giving that a 10 out of 10. Not often do I see something like that on the rubbish piles. Okay, nice, fantastic pile of rubbish. I remember I picked up some Thomas & Friends gear here before. Very much a mixed load of stuff. Some of it's wet. There's an umbrella there. I should grab that because it is starting to rain on me. Yes, oh, okay. Okay, I'm starting to see a little bit of Dyson Gold, but it looks a little bit tragic. Okay, this is another Dyson mystery. It's a Dyson which has been pulled apart, and the funny thing about this here is it doesn't look like it's had that much wear. It's one of those bally ones. I think it's a DC24. That's like this. Hopefully we'll find some idea on this. Why has it been pulled apart, and why has it been thrown out? Crikeys. Okay, there's the ID thing there. Let's take a look at that there. Yes, it is a Dyson DC24, well, or should I say, part of a Dyson DC24. I just used my equestrian friend there to prop this up so I can see it at the right angle of the dangle. Right. Missing its dust collection area and the hosing and the handle extension there. Very curious design, because this is a suction and air ventilage of this, and it goes into the ball, so the motor's inside this ball. Very much, well, Dyson, Mr. Dyson, he loved his balls. A lot of balls in his design. That goes back to his Dyson wheelbarrow. Hope I didn't get flagged for that. I'm saying this hasn't had that much use because I'm not seeing very much wear and tear in this. Maybe the brush is going to tell me a story. What do you think, hey? Yes. So often when I pick up Dysons, and man, I've picked up a few now, I'll see them, you can see they've had years and years of wear and tear. Mind you, that model there is not that young. Now the other parts of that Dyson may be buried somewhere under this rubbish pile, but it's quite extensive. I'm certainly not going to start pulling that apart and trying to find Dyson parts. I just flipped around to the roadside here to get a different perspective. No, I'm not seeing what I want to see. I have seen quite a curiosity here. It's like a baby's bassinet, but it's got skis on it. So you can take your baby to the snow, put it down a ski hill, and off the baby goes. And that is absolute ski design. Don't say I'm making up stories here. Look at that. They are a set of skis on a baby's bassinet. Anyway, before we get any more sillier, I am going to take this home. I'd really like to get full Dysons, but I'm curious about that design going on in there because I've never pulled one of those apart. And while I'm here, look at this lovely children's bike here. There's nothing wrong with that. The chain's off, but it's very clean. And sort of, you know, again, when we haven't got a charity shop, okay, it's got flat tyres, there's nowhere to send this stuff. It's still got plenty of tread on the tyre. There's nothing wrong with this. I can tell if it's a cheapie or an expensive one by the weight. It's a little bit weighty. Okay, so it might be just a generic bike. Again, the front tyre looks good. It's deflated. Brakes are good. Man, I might put that in a more prominent position so it can be seen by people driving down the road. It might be picked up. It'd be a nice thing to have happen. A little children's pool that's got some hail damage. I'm not surprised by that at all, but this box here does surprise me. Wow, a box of awards. I can come along and basically give myself an award now because, well, nobody else has. I'm not going to get into the exact details on this because I don't want to give any personal things away, but wow, why would you throw away all these wondrous awards? Surely someone has, well, worked hard to get these. Just amazing. Obviously they do dancing by the looks of it. Wow, there's just too many there. Let's take a look at one more. I'm curious. I know you're curious, so I'm curious. There's probably Spider-infested stuff on this. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'll put it this way, if I did have any awards, I don't think I'd be chucking them out like that. A little life jacket there, it looks like kiddie size, doesn't it? If it gets too rainy, I can put that on. A tarp there because all the homes are covered in tarps. But what caught my eye was this windscreen here. It's laminated glass and it's got all the marks of, well, hail impact. Some of the cracking here would have been done in removing this windscreen. Laminated glass is pretty tough. When I was doing special effects work, sometimes you had to put bullet holes in this stuff and make it crack, and man, you had to really load this stuff up. There's a couple little tricks we had on the hits we put on this stuff. We used to put plasticine and stuff back behind the hits and basically set it up like a big hammer blow to put a crack in, let's say like that. But that there would be a hail strike there. When I saw how many cars had broken laminated windscreens, it was a real indicator to me how powerful that hailstorm was. Many a time I've warned about those little rubbishy steam mops. These are very, very common in the rubbish pile, and occasionally I take a look at one. Let's take a look at the tag. Well, the warning there should say made in China, absolute rubbish. Another great mixed pile of rubbish here. I can see things that are storm affected, of course. Very, very common theme I've seen across the rubbish piles. Roofing like that just gets obliterated in hailstorms. But what caught my eye here is what looks like a whole set of encyclopedias. Back in the day, this wouldn't have been a cheap set, and I'll show you why. If I go up here, you can see you got the science yearbooks. Okay, so it's the 80s I can see there. Maybe I should grab that. They were the good old days, weren't they? And you go along, I think the full set's there, I think. Unfortunately, it's all water damage. It may have been taken out by the hailstorm, because I know this house that it belongs to got heavily affected by hail. Yeah, nice, very different sort of find, and it's a complete set. I was going to come in and take a look at 1984, because that's the year I left school. And then I noticed that the whole set, it's basically all glued together. So if I just rock and roll it here, look at that. I can't get these to budge. So I've got no idea what's going on there. There's no magic trick. They're all completely stuck together. I can't separate anything away. Oh, never seen that before. How strange. And apart from the glued together set of encyclopedias, yes, some more solar panels, and these may be hail damaged ones. Oh yeah. Okay, you can see what the hail's done to that. Yes, many people wondered what happens to solar panels in hailstorms. Well, our suburb found out they don't like it. They don't like it at all. In fact, that's quite spectacular what's going on in some areas there. Very, very curious to see. I'll do a real quickie here, just hail damage to look at. A plastic stool there of all the telltale signs of hail strike. Bang, bang, bang. And one of those plastic tubs again. I mean, look at that. Look at the intensity of hail striking on that. What does it tell you? Anything about the hail or the material that it's hit? Probably talks about both. And maybe the other thing that damage points out to us is the fact that hail makes random patterns. And if people were doing forensic reports for hail damaged cars, they would, if they saw things that weren't random, they'd say, oh, that's been put in by the car owner. Now, apparently as humans, if I was going to get a hammer and smack holes into this, I'd be forming triangles, squares and rectangles. Yet the hail doesn't. What do you think on that theory there, hey? Do you think that looks random enough to be real hail damage? Well, there's a pile of rubbish that really is rubbish. There is part of an office chair there. There is another office chair there, but this one's not too bad. It's got some protective stuff on it. But what caught my eye is this bike here, and I'm just going to pick this up so you can see it better. And if I pick it up, I can tell you if it's a cheapie or not. It's actually not too heavy. Okay, let me just lean that there. Let me just turn that like that. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, it's a made in China Magna bike. It's also written Magna there. I'm looking at how much wear and tear this has had. The tyre looks pretty good to me. This bike looks barely used. And just moving along the bike here, you can see it's had barely any use. The seat's okay. The pedal area seems to be okay. It's got back pedal brakes by the feel of it, and it's all intact there. The back tyre, also very little use. Wow. That bike's in pretty good nick. I just hope someone else comes and gives it some love. And seeing this, it's got me really wondering, why has this bike had so little use? Why is it out in the rubbish pile? We're dealing with a generation of kids who are just basically addicted to Fortnite and other online games. And doing things like you may see on the TV show Stranger Things, well, really that's all a thing of the past. Yes, you see some strange things, don't you, on the rubbish piles, but what I like to see, well, to me this is unusual. I don't often see these. It's a Flymo, it's a Turbo Light 350. What I like is they put still working on this. Okay, so this thing, if someone's in the Flymos and they think they're the greatest thing for cutting grass, they can come along and pick it up. It doesn't look like it's had that much work. Let's take a look underneath. Just taking a good close look at the blade here. It's in very good condition, I say, because I'm not seeing too much banged around there. Very curious because they're basically like a hovercraft. They float around on a bed of air, and the way the air is generated, that's basically a compressor like you'd find in the vacuum cleaner or a jet engine. And if I tilt it over here, and if I give it a bit of a spin, you'll see the compressor blades there. That would be basically crunching up the air and forcing it out and making it float on air. Very, very curious find. I hope someone who's into these comes along and grabs it, hey? Very nice, and very nice for the fact they've got still working on it. I've just spun it round to present it better to people driving past. And we'll take a look at the handle area last. What do you think? There you go, that's the way you powered it up. Just pull that, and that would start the thing spinning, and it would float on a bed of air and basically cut your lawn. How impressive is that? No surprise at all, a generic vacuum cleaner on the rubbish pile. They're rubbish. I keep telling you they're rubbish, but I'm actually happy to see this. It's a minion getting thrown out. About time. I think it's a real one. I was almost going to say knockoff. I felt a bit plush. Let's take a look at that tag very quickly. I think this is a legitimate minion. I think it can be really, really hard to tell. Sometimes the knockoff stuff have really good tags. Initially, I thought it looked a little bit overstuffed, but I think it's a real baby one. It's one that would have had, you know, some sort of noisemaker inside it. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it is a knockoff. Maybe it's a little bit too good looking to be a knockoff. Anyway, I'm glad it's on the rubbish pile. I can't stand those things. A Thomas face just caught my eye down in the rubbish pile down here. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm getting closer now. It's actually been a little bit shy on Thomas stuff, and this is... Oh, that's a bit weird, isn't it? I'm just trying to work out what this is. It's painted on timber. There must have just been something for a wall. That's quite nice. I might take that home. I quite like the look of that. It's an old-fashioned Thomas face, yeah. Thomas Glory. Just think if that was laid down in the rubbish pile, I would never have seen it. I saw his cheery little face looking up at me. Guess what, Thomas? You got a new home. Okay, this caught my eye. You know why? Because it's a Dyson. It is a Dyson DC24. There we go, Dyson DC24 on the top there. I've already picked up a part of this one in another rubbish pile. Let's take a look at this one. This one looks complete. Very unusual design. It's got that ball going on there. This one here looks like it's been picking up, well, white dust, maybe stuff from the ceiling. This area got very heavily affected by that big storm. Very badly affected, actually. Take a look at the brush area here. Often tells us a story. Yes, it looks to me like stuff from the... when you're trying to clean up gyprock and stuff has gone into these. I think you have to be a little bit careful. They're not really good at picking up industrial sort of dirt in a sense, or ingesting water. Okay, looks like it's got all its bits and bobs. It's got extendable bits here. I think this bit here also comes out like that. Wow, it's quite nice. Also notice it's got a little brush attachment here. Often when I pick these up, it's missing little things like that. It's very nice. It does look complete. I tell you what, Mr. Dyson's going to be very impressed with me when he sees my whole Dyson collection that I'm building up. Another pile of rubbish here, of course. There is an office chair here. If there wasn't an office chair here, I'd be really worried. And what has caught my eye in particular is this component from a Dyson vacuum cleaner. This has been very unusual rubbish time because I'm finding lots of components. I can see here it's from a DC-15. So this comes from an earlier time in Dyson history. We're at the time when we've got the multiple cyclones going on there. And I always had these nice push button things that did things. Well, that's for emptying it out. Okay, that one there. Just close it back up in a puff of dust. Yes, I'm going to take this because I like this part of the Dyson vacuum cleaners. I think that's the very stylish bit to them. Bob the Builder, can we fix it? When you went to CGI, I think it went tragically bad. Hot Wheels box there. There is no toy in that. I've had a look going along here. And I can see a bike here. And there is a Thomas & Friends scooter. But it's in fairly tragic form. It looks fairly sun affected. At least it looks like it's been played with. That's what I like to see. Okay, these were quite cheap. I remember seeing those in quite a few stores. As for the bike here, to me, it looks in fairly good nick, and it's really a very, very common thing I see in the rubbish piles. Children's bikes that haven't had that much play. I'll just do a quick appraisal. The brakes are in good condition. I tell you what, this bike would be a great little pickup. The tyres still have some tread on it. I notice it's purchased from Hornsby Cycle, so it's not a generic bike that's basically come from Kmart or somewhere like that. It's actually in pretty good nick. The chain's a bit rusty, but man, a little bit of oil on that's going to fix that. The back tyre's okay. The seat's okay. My crikeys, I see so many children's bikes in good condition out in the rubbish piles. It just seems to be the way things are these days. Another beautiful pile of rubbish. I've actually found Thomas & Friends stuff on this pile before, so I'm going to take a very careful look. A homeowner came out and said, "Are you interested in that cubby house there?" And I said, "Well, I'm only interested in one aspect of it." And he said to me, "Oh, the screws are here. If you want to pick it up, there are the screws to put it together." And I said, no, what I'd like to take a look at in this, and it's a very simple thing, is the hail damage. And you can see there's a hail strike there. This would have been the roof of the cubby house, okay? It's smacked out that area there, but it's sort of sad because it would have been a nice little cubby house, but it's been wrecked by the hail. This time round it's not looking too much like toy stuff, it's looking more like furniture and stuff from the kitchen. I can see something from, I think it's the show In the Night Garden. Okay, just zoom in a bit here. We won't spend too much time looking at that. Maybe you know that one, maybe you don't. But one thing which actually just triggered me was seeing that tyre there, because it's a Bridgestone tyre, and I thought it's the same as what's on my stupid Mercedes-Benz. So I see Bridgestone there, but I'm not seeing RFT. So I think these are conventional tyres. It is the same type of tyre, and it's also the sports version. And I looked at the tread on this one. Well, I'll put it this way. That's got a lot more tread than my stupid Bridgestones that only lasted 20,000 kilometres on my car. I think a very cruel and very expensive lesson I learned was steer well clear of cars that have RFT tyres on them. Get rid of the things. Just moved to the other side away from those annoying tyres. They've got my blood pressure really raging high. I can see some toy stuff here to get me calmed down again. Leapfrog learning device there, but I think the children all use iPads now. Am I right or am I wrong there? Hey, have you had those? We had one, but I won't say too much about it. Oh yeah, okay. That is a Optimus Prime. It's a Transformer toy. And I don't know if I can transform it. You've got to make the right sound. Oh my crikey, I think I've just about done it. That's almost a miracle. Wow, it is a nice one, but I think it's missing a component. Maybe that's why it's out in the rubbish pile. Maybe I can find another component. But yeah, maybe you'll say something about the newer Transformer toys, how easily bits come off them. Oh, let's be nice to them. Hey, they've got to, well, look, you have your say. I could say a few words, but I noticed with some of the newer stuff, well, let's just not go there, eh? And I can see, well, there's that there, okay? Make a little drink at home. Looks rather nice. I like this rubbish pile because it's always nice, neat stuff on here. Look at that there. It's a very different globe of the world, isn't it? Very different. It's going to walk away on me too. And there's a Peppa Pig thing here. Oh, this is going to kill me. Once again, it's like a little children's toy, and it's got like a remote control that probably makes really annoying Peppa Pig sounds. And we probably never really ever want to go there, and I'll neatly put all this back away. As I was putting stuff away, I noticed on this one, it's actually one that's like an Etch-a-Sketch. And it looks like you can actually write something. Maybe it's an intelligent thing. And it can tell you what you've written. In a funny way, I almost feel like taking this home and playing with it. Seeing if it still works. It might be a half decent, half interesting thing to look at. Yes, I might, strangely, I might take that with me. Whoosh! And just beside that boogie, I just noticed something here. Another one of those plastic crate tub things. It's got great big hail strike marks in it. It's been a bit of a theme, but I can also see some curious toys in there. I might have to open this one up. My goodness, look at the hail markings on that there. Woo! That's some big holes there, I can tell you. Way bigger than my fist, and it goes all the way along here. I'll take this off and we can see the toy glory inside. Oh, there is a garbage truck there, and there is a fire engine, the two staples of any young boy or a girl that's adventurous. That says Tonka, but my crikey, this thing is as light as a feather. Did Tonka make that sort of really lightweight, plasticky, non-fantastic-y sort of toys? It's very impressive. It's actually, look, there's a lot of play still left in this, and that's the problem when we don't have a charity shop. Let me take a look at some details underneath. Oh yeah, there, 2010 Hasbro. It must be real McCoy Tonka, made in Vietnam. It would have possibly had lights and sounds. It's got batteries there. Thankfully, I can't see any Spider-infested action. But yeah, you know, that's got play left in it. In my books, there's nothing wrong with that, apart from it just being too much plastic. The next one we'll take a look at, it's a garbage truck, but it's feeling a bit trashy. No pun intended, because it's all plastic. Well, now I have a closer look at this. Maybe I was being a little bit critical. It has got some detailing in the cabin there. If I zoom in on that there, that's what you need to see on toys, but I don't know. I just think it needs to be a little bit more sturdy built, a little bit more metal, but I'm a bit old-fashioned, aren't I? You can pick up your rubbish like that here. It's got a munching thing here. I'm not sure how that bit worked. Maybe it was just a finger thing. And I do notice it's got buttons on the side here. It was making sounds. It still is. It's got flashing lights as well. If I push that again, there's the flashing lights. And of course you can also bend this back and you can empty out your rubbish as well, and that's what garbage trucks are all about. There's a great fascination about these styles of toys, especially garbage trucks. There's the details on the bottom of the garbage truck. I dare say it's the same as the fire engine. There's a couple of other curious things in here. There is an insect zapper, and as I found out with those, the bulbs are as much as a zapper is a bit of a trap for young players with those. A couple of little ornamenty type lamp things, and no surprise at all, a workshop vacuum cleaner Ozito. That's definitely made in China. Oh my goodness, there's a date there, 2017, the 6th month. Well, I'm shooting this halfway through 2019. It doesn't bode well for that cleaner, does it? How often have I said buy cheap, buy twice, and if it's made in China, buy thrice? All that does is burns your money, makes China greater. Boys and girls, we've got to learn a lesson from that. But really, what was sort of nice out of there was those two toys there. Nothing wrong with them. All the wheels are still there. We haven't got a charity shop, so there's nowhere really to repurpose them. It's sort of sad, but hey, that's the way the world's wound these days. Nothing like winter, eh? Winter rain, and I see this on the side of the road here. It's either a stolen bike, or it's one which was in the rubbish piles, and someone's decided to take it for a bit of a burn. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. Still got air in the tyres. Let me just feel the weight. It's nice and light. When I say the light, I often think it's not a cheap bike. Maybe you know what's going on there. Maybe you know your bike stuff. The front looks okay as well. The brakes are still working. Yeah, it could be shenanigans by the local kids. It could be complete trash. It's a bit different looking at the rubbish piles during winter time. It gets a bit wet and it's also cold. And often the rubbish gets, well, decimated if it gets a good shower of rain. Maybe I'll take a look over here. Whoop! And see what I can find. Very much a typical rubbish pile. Of course, there's chairs there, some tables. A lot of this stuff is now very wet. It's often a sign for me to say, well, start giving up on looking at this stuff. You're not going to find anything. Mind you, what's that there? That's a curious little body thing there, isn't it? I can see parts of it here as well. It looks like some sort of hamster cage, hamster house where your hamsters go running through this. It's actually giving me an idea for Redback Spider Home 3.0. Yes, nice free little hamster house and some sort of hamster wheel there. And in the shops, they're not cheap, although that one's broken. Okay, anything that's like sort of special pet toy stuff, it tends to be totally overpriced. Just on the flip side of that, there's like a makeup box here, but it's saturated wet because we've had so much rain. And I can see one of these things here. It's one of the very, very common things that I see in the rubbish pile. That's computer keyboards. A dime a dozen with things like that. And often with them you find the mice as well and the cable's been cut off. I can see through there someone's had the storm seal removed from their roof. It looks like their roof's about to be hopefully replaced and not repaired. More rubbish in a very classic sort of format. Some family photos there and some artworks. I'm always wondering whether I'm going to pick up another, Monet. Will I be that lucky? I don't think so. Yeah, a lot of homes along here got really, really damaged by the hailstorm. Then we had the big rainstorm, and that's why I'm seeing so many things that would have been hanging on walls that would have been affected by water. And come rubbish time, well, it just becomes rubbish. With the clattering of roof tiles in the background, because I'm right beside the house getting a new roof. This looks like an organ. Looks rather nice. Let's take a look at this one. If we can open it up, there we go. Wow. All singing, all dancing, lots of buttons there. Hey, I don't think this would have been a cheap unit in the day. Maybe you know what you're looking at because I don't know anything about these. I'm thinking that's the brand name there. The more I look at this, man, it would have been an intimidating beast to play. I think that's your bass down there on the pedals. Hope I'm right there. I'm not sure why organs always had two tiers of keys. I never really understood why that was the case. I thought maybe it was to look like you had, more music at your hands. You had your upper keyboard controls there, your upper and lower, your ensemble, your general presets, whatever that means, your lower keyboard commands here, and your pedals, and I dare say it's all bassy sort of stuff. I did look over this to see where it was made and a bit more info about it. There's not much to see. I'll tell you one thing, it is very, very heavy. I'd hate to be picking this thing up. It's a shame it's on the rubbish pile. It looks too good to throw out. My crikeys, that was one of the most epic curbside cleanup times that I've seen in the suburb where I live. And we must always remember the Womble equation. That is, one man's trash is another man's treasure. On the day before the garbage trucks pick up all the rubbish, I go round and see what treasure has been saved from the trash pile. Do you remember what was here? And it only disappeared within a day, and I wasn't surprised at all. Yes, the Sunbeam Mixmaster. Classic in so many ways. What a wonderful pickup for someone. Do you remember this pile of rubbish? Do you remember what was right there on that concrete? It was the amazing, large, little people toy, quite elaborate, nice that it's been picked up and repurposed. That's what we need to see happening. I'm not surprised by that, actually. But I also notice here, what used to be in the middle there, I think there used to be a large witch's hat, I think. Very large, spiky one. But as I move along here, the Fire Festival tent is sadly still here. In fact, if I take a look inside here, it might be, yeah, that's a little bit too big. I think the Fire Festival tents were smaller than that. Do you remember what was there? I can't believe it. Well, I can believe that one thing's gone. Those car ramps have gone. I knew that was going to happen. It happened very fast. And to my utter surprise, that tub of rusty and plasticky spider-infested toys has also totally gone. Look, it wasn't me that took that. Someone else saw the glory that I didn't see. You remember the pile of rubbish that had the shoes and those vacuum cleaners? Well, it's the day of the rubbish pickup. Vacuum cleaner's still here. Am I surprised? No. Do you remember this pile of rubbish? I thought I found a Monet here. But what I don't like seeing is when someone comes along and smashes stuff up just for the fun of it. That guitar was sort of intact. Sure, it wasn't the best guitar in the world, and someone's come along and just whacked into it and smashed it up. I can't stand seeing that. Do you remember this pile of rubbish here? Ooh, it has been added to, and the thing that I looked at here, I think it's gone. I've had a good look around for it. Do you remember what it was? It was that later version of the Sunbeam Mixmaster that looked like a jet engine. It has gone. I'm sort of happy it's been picked up, but I'm also a little bit surprised. Do you remember what was here? Oh yeah, it was in working order. It was that wonderful Flymo. It was a lawnmower powered by mains power, and it's found a fantastic new home. Great pickup. And I also noticed a cookie little ornament that was on top of the fireplace has also vanished. Do you remember this pile of rubbish here? It's a little bit bigger than I last saw, but there is now something missing, and it's nice to see it's gone. Yes, it's that children's cubby house. It had the screws there to put it back together. Thankfully, someone's picked that up. If you're wondering about the organ, well, very sadly, it's still in the rubbish piles, and, well, tomorrow's the pickup day. Ooh, do you remember what was here? I was very impressed by it. It was like the dynamic duo. It was the two Yardman lawnmowers. I did some reading up about those, most probably made in the USA. I'm very, very pleased they've gone to another home. Mind you, it may have been a scrap metal home. Yes, there is the time when the rubbish does get picked up. The suburb does return to some sort of normality, but occasionally a few little things get left behind, and I did have a bit of a chuckle when I saw this. These two items here are notably left behind in this rubbish pile here. There's a little bench vise here. It's actually quite cute. It's nice and heavy, so to me it's a good quality one. I might be taking that home with me. And I remember looking at this. This is from that box of trophies. Look, it's just been knocked off the top of the trophy and it's left behind. Maybe it's saying to me, please take me home.